How y'all doing, Knicks Nation? I hope you're enjoying your long weekend. I hope you're getting some rest. I hope you're safe and healthy, and that the same can be said for your families, that your family is also safe and healthy, and that in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health, your needs are being met. Also, greetings to the chat, my man, Gumby Jeff 021, Carlos Delgado, Mark Jackson, Deshaun Wilson, Billy Blanco, Cash Out James, Mike K. Salute to all of you. Thank you for joining me today. We live up. Jay Dizzy, what's up? And so I wanted to go over this week. Salute CW Flash, J Mom P, Francisco Acevedo. What's up to all of y'all? I wanted to go over the week's news as well as what's going forward. Of course, one of the things I want to deal with first is, let me start with this, Knicks Nation. Because of the last 20 years of Knick futility and mostly bad management, there is a tendency. Well, first of all, the media has hated the Knicks for more than 50 years. And I'll go into that for all of you all in a second. There's a reasons they have hated the Knicks for more than 50 years. And then the certain situations added to that. But for the last 20 years, the Knick futility in terms of management and in terms of, on-court performance has lent itself to more criticism from the media, to the point where, and I'm going to be honest with you, there is a predisposition among a lot of people in Knicks Nation to be negative about their own team. Did y'all hear me? So there's a predisposition because of the last 20 years of futility to be negative about your own team, and to be easily swayed to be negative. Now, I'm going to give you a quick, and I've done it before. Maybe some of you didn't hear it. Maybe you did. If you did, excuse me. But I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of why there is Knick hate in the media and why it's been here for a minute and why it's going to remain until the Knicks become a long-term sustainable winner, which I believe is begun already. Okay? But let's go into it. 1968, 69, 70, the Knicks were winning. They won 2 championships. During that time, the New York Mets in 69 won the World Series. During that time, the New York Jets won the Super Bowl, beating a heavily favored Baltimore Colts team. At that time, there was a lot of arrogance in New York. There was a lot of arrogance. And at the same time as all of that was going down, the New York Nets and the ABA were winning the ABA championship with Dr. J coming from Roosevelt, and everybody on Long Island, you couldn't tell us nothing because the Knicks had won the championship. The Nets had won the championship in like 71. And then you had the Mets won the championship and the Jets won the championship. So the New York media, the New York City, of course, at that time, with Wall Street and all the old money on the East Side and all of that was going on, you couldn't tell New York people nothing. Okay, we was getting arrogant. At the time, I was little. I think those years, I was about 8 years old when it started. I moved to Miami. I was in Miami in 71, 72. And everybody in Miami at that time was from New York. And you couldn't tell us nothing. Okay, you couldn't tell us nothing. The only thing bigger than New York sports at that time was UCLA. Some of y'all don't remember, but at that time, UCLA had Bill Walton, and he had just come off out of following who was Lou Alcindor, became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So UCLA was the big thing, John Wooden and all of that. So, but other than that, it was New York, right? You couldn't tell us nothing. So there was a lot of arrogance in New York. And that created hate first from the major markets of Boston and LA, and then from all the smaller markets. Because at that time, there was no salary cap, right? So there was nothing that you could do. The Knicks were just beating everybody, right? And the New York was just too good. So that was how it started. Then, and I'm telling y'all the truth, some of y'all may not agree, some of you don't like it. I'm telling you from my perspective what happened. Then during the mid to late 70s, now, in the 60s, there was an unwritten rule in high school, college, and pro basketball. You could only have so many black players on your team. That was an unwritten rule. They even did a movie about it when they talked about University of Texas El Paso being the first all-black starting five to win NCAA championship. But it was an unwritten rule from the 60s all the way into the 70s. You could only have certain amount of starting five black players and black players on your team. They didn't write it out, but it existed. To say it didn't exist, you just wasn't there. I remember it was all the way from even junior high all the way up. So in the 70s, the Knicks was the first team to openly start an all-black starting five. In fact, it was a lot of whispers, even in New York, among Knicks Nation at the time. They actually, and I'm not making this up, they called them the Knickerbockers because there was all-black starting five. The Knicks was one of the first teams to do that. And that created more media hate because at that time, the media was, there was a white male-dominated media, and they didn't like that. And so they, with the arrogance we already had, now it went to a new level. It went to a new level, okay? So that was another addition to the Knicks hate right there, right? Then the Knicks just wasn't that good in the after they sent Clyde to Cleveland. Earl Monroe retired. Willis Reed retired. Bill Bradley retired. All of those guys from the glory years retired, and they just wasn't as good, right? So it was like a malaise for about 3-4 seasons. Then they drafted Bill Cartwright, and there was hope with Bill Cartwright, but they were at that time, the Knicks had started this bad habit of signing big name players after they were past their prime. They were signing players like at the time they signed Marvin Webster. They went back at the time they signed an NBA star, Spencer Haywood. They went and they got Bob McAdoo, and they went and they got Paul Westphal after he was past his prime. They kept getting these big name players. They were trying to copy George Steinbrenner because George Steinbrenner and the Yankees had got Reggie Jackson, and anybody that wanted big money, he was getting them to the Yankees, and they started winning championships. So the Knicks tried to copy that. They tried to copy that and it didn't work. Okay, it didn't work. They went and got got McAdoo. They went and got Spencer Haywood. They went and got Marvin Webster. They went and got Paul Westphal. None of these dudes was in their prime at that time. Well, with the exception of McAdoo. McAdoo was still the deal. I think McAdoo scored like 27 a game for the Knicks, so he still had it when he came to New York. But the hate was so strong that they wasn't appreciating McAdoo. He ended up winning championships with Magic over there in the Lakers. So with that, then they brought in Chuck Robinson. He had led the league in rebounding when he was in Phoenix, and they brought him, and he just stunk in New York. And it was just a terrible time to be a Knicks fan. Then they hired UB Brown, and they drafted, before they drafted Ewing, they signed Bernard King. They traded for him from Golden State. Now, Bernard King, at the time, he was a Brooklyn legend. He had come out of the playgrounds. Him and his brother. Bernard King actually had a brother that was younger than him. And they expected his brother to be even greater, but Bernard was the dude. He had come out of Brooklyn. He had went and with Ernie Grunfeld in Tennessee, and he called it the Bernie and Ernie show. And then he had alcohol problems. He was on the Nets, and he was drinking a lot. And he had alcohol issues. Albert King, right. And so they went and he rehabbed himself, and the Knicks traded for him from Golden State and brought him to New York. And then you had that with UB Brown, and they were trying to build around that. And they became okay. They wasn't bad. They were making the playoffs now. At that time, they started making the playoffs. And just as they started getting good, Bernard blew out his knee in Kansas City. Okay, and that was the end of that era. Really. Then in 85, they drafted Patrick Ewing. And then they were going to try to build around him. They drafted Ewing. Then they drafted Mark Jackson in 87. And they started to try to build again. And they actually, they had Rick Pitino replace UB Brown. And they were actually coming back. But Pitino didn't stay but 2 seasons. Then they went and got Pat Riley. That's right. And they had started to build around Michael Ray Richardson. He was a cokehead, man. He was showing up with Kyle Ramsey after the games high as a kite. And all of that, the media just built on it. You know, the Knicks were terrible management, terrible team, cokeheads, niggerbockers. They was doing all of that, okay? And then Ewing, coming out of Georgetown, didn't trust the media. Even at Georgetown, he didn't want to deal with the media. So he came in with an attitude. They didn't like that either. So the media was just ganging up on the Knicks. Then come Pat Riley in the early 90s, after the whole Magic with the AIDS debacle, right? Here come Pat Riley. Pat Riley is a basketball genius. He really is, just period, end of story. He molded the Knicks. He had Showtime with the Lakers, but he molded the Knicks into a brand of Detroit bad boys. He brought in Xavier McDaniel. He had Charles Oakley. He had Ewing. He brought in Doc Rivers, was a rough, tough dude at the time. They brought in this cat that used to play for Dallas. Brought him in. They was rough and tough, and they had a bad reputation for being fighting and all that. And the media went negative on that too. The Knicks are bad and they fight and they just wrestle and they're not really talented. And the Knicks at that time was winning 55 and 60 games a season. And they wasn't getting no love from the media. Whenever the media came out, pre-season, they would bet against the Knicks. The Knicks ain't going nowhere, blah, 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 blah. So that built on it. Then Riley quits. And the way he quit, he faxed in his resignation. He had already had a deal made with Miami. And he quit. Now, word had it at the time that he wanted more control over personnel decisions. And at the time, I don't know who the GM and president operations was at that time, but they wasn't willing to give it to him. And he said, okay, fine, because Miami was willing to give it to him. Miami made him president of basketball operations, made him GM, and made him head coach. And that's rarely something that works, as y'all know. Thank you for the $2 super chat. CL Kendrick, appreciate it. Media stay hating, though. That's right. And so I'm just giving y'all this basic background. It might have been Dave Checkers at that time. Right. I remember it might have been Dave Checkers. But they weren't willing to give Pat Riley more power. That's what he wanted. So he left and he faxed his. He didn't even go tell him in the office. He faxed his resignation and he was in Miami buying his new mansion and going to the Heat. That created the Knicks Heat hate. That became the rivalry of the late 90s. And when he quit, a young assistant named Jeff Van Gundy took over. Okay, he took over. Thanks for the $2 super chat, Billy Blanco. Please straighten this Randall Ewing bozo out. Yeah, and then Isaac Dixon, Raw Hebrew, great job. Thank you very much, Isaac, for the $2. Appreciate that. So I'm just giving you a little bit of background of how we get to today. I'm bringing it up. Don't just bear with me. I'm bringing it up to today. Okay, so Jeff Van Gundy takes over. Okay. And at that time, I don't know if it was right then, but at that time, the Knicks went and made a trade to get Marcus Camby from Toronto. They sent out Oakley. They got Marcus Camby from Toronto. They had just got us 2 seasons before. They had got Allen Houston. They still had Ewing, who is now at the tail end of his career. Then they went and got a guy that was blackballed. See, the Knicks, honestly, when you look at the Knicks from the championship years to now, they always broke the mold, especially when it came to black players. They were the first team to come out with the all-starting 5 black, and that was a big deal at that time. Then Latrell Sprewell was blackballed from the NBA. They were trying to ban him from ever coming back for choking PJ Carlesimo. The Knicks went and signed him. At the time, if you remember, they put out a commercial and they played Sly and the Family Stone, and they had Spreewell walking down the sidewalk in Harlem, and they had the Sly, "Thank you for letting me be myself again." Some of y'all might remember that. They brought it out, and then they had another when they was doing the blowout, the fro blowout, and talking about he was an American nightmare or something like that. They were doing that in the media at the time. But Spreewell and Camby, they took the Knicks to the finals, and they were both coming off the bench at the time. They took the Knicks to the finals, right? That's right. They traded Starks to Golden State for Spreewell, and there was a strike-shortened season when Camby and them came, and they took the Knicks to the finals as the 8th seed. So that was a different era, and they started building up, and I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, maybe a season, 2 seasons later, Van Gundy quit in the middle of the season. In December of that season. I can't remember what season it was, but it's the similar thing that would happen to Pat Riley. I don't know what the problem was, but he quit. Then this dude Layton, they got him from Utah. And I was thinking at the time, Utah was a successful team with John Stockton and Karl Malone. Maybe this cat knew what he was doing, right? This Layton dude. What does this fool do is he trades Patrick Ewing. And, Ewing was at the end of his career, but that's not the point, though. You don't trade a legend in New York like that. And that started a curse. I believe that's where the curse started. They trade Patrick Ewing to the Sonics. This fool. Okay. Then that's when the futility began that we've been experiencing all the way to 3 seasons ago. Okay. So the media hate, they used that, they threw gasoline on that with fire when they traded Ewing. They got rid of Layton, and now Dolan's in control. He gets rid of Layton. He brings in Isiah Thomas to run the franchise. And this is the problem. See, Isiah Thomas, I've always respected him as a talent evaluator. Even as a coach, he actually coached the Indiana Pacers to the playoffs one year. He was a good coach. But what happened when he came to New York, and this is the thing, brethren, I believe, they gave him too much power too fast. That's what happened. They gave Isiah too much. Isiah came in to be an executive, and within like 2 or 3 weeks of getting the job, he's on the court staring, at Don Chaney. Don Chaney was the defensive coach for the Knicks. And at the time, he was trying to create a defense for the Knicks, and he wasn't looking. He was looking at matchups, and at the time they had Mutombo. Mutombo was finished at that time. He had no mobility left, and Don Chaney knew it, and the media kept bugging him. "Why ain't you playing Mutombo?" And he said, "We got matchup problems." And Isiah used that to fire Don Chaney. And then Isiah started tripping, and he started getting big name coaches in here. He brought Lenny Wilkins in here, all-time winningest coach at the time. He brought in Larry Brown, and none of them could coach the way they wanted to because Isiah was looming over them all the time. He was power tripping. He really was. Then he made very questionable trades. He was trading away first-round picks for players that was questionable, that he didn't have to do that. Again, brethren, the best way to build a team is through the draft and development. Isiah was trying to shortcut, and the Knicks had been doing that, like I said, from the 70s. From the time the glory years finished, they have been trying to trade their way to a championship with big name players or to get a big name coach. And Isiah continued that. He went and he got Stephon Marbury. Now, Marbury was a great talent. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. One of the greatest players to ever come out of New York City is Marbury, right? But he was never a team dude to make everybody better and get you to the playoffs and make you make a run. He wasn't that dude. He was that dude that could get 20 points, 10 assists for you, become an all-star for you. He could do that, but his teams would never get over the top. And he played on some good teams. They switched him. He was in New Jersey. Basically, they switched him and Jason Kidd. All of a sudden, the Nets going to the finals. Okay, they switched him and Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was in Phoenix. They switched him and Jason Kidd. Phoenix struggled. Nets going to the finals. That tells you all you need to know. Okay, that's the kind of player he was. But at the time, because he was from Brooklyn and he was New York, it was a homecoming, and that was a big splash. But we ain't do nothing. We had him, Q. Remember Q? What was his name? Quentin Q Dog. Y'all remember Q Dog? We had him. We had Marbury, Starbury. They had a few players. Quentin Richardson, that's right. We had a few players, but it wasn't good enough. And he was trying to trade his way to a championship. And that's been the curse in New York. Okay. So now the media really, with all of the moves, and then the whole sexual thing came out when Isiah supposedly was messing around with this woman at Madison Square Garden offices. And then, of course, they busted Starbury having sex with one of the office workers in a truck. Y'all, some of y'all remember that, some of y'all don't. And it started getting real ugly at MSG, and the media was having a field day. Okay. And it's been straight hate ever since. Now, when you add all that up, of course, as Knicks Nation, we was all there and we was all frustrated. And so when you add, like, at that time, there was WFAN. I don't know if WFAN is still in existence, but they was crapping on the Knicks ever since Riley in the Ewing era. They was crapping on the Knicks, and that just added to that fire. So now you got a media that's predisposed. And then you add all that there came a point with Dolan that he did not allow the Daily News in the locker room. He did not allow the Daily News in the locker room. They was ticked off about that. He wasn't having it. They just wrote too much crap about him. And there was this dude that's now on another channel. What's his name? Isola. It was Frank Isola, who was Newsday and Daily News. It was Frank Isola. And there was a couple of other dudes that was writing stuff. They was just killing and crapping on him on a daily basis in their columns, right? He didn't allow them in the locker room no more. That added to the hate. Then became the whole thing about get Dolan to sell the team, because it was Dolan said they can't come in the locker room no more. You see, so that was all of that together created a big tidal wave of media hate toward the Knicks. Then even when the Knicks got Carmelo Anthony, when he was in Denver, some of y'all don't remember, when he was in Denver, the media hated him. They thought he was arrogant. They thought he was, he was young and brash, and they hated him. So when he came to New York, they made it a negative thing. Carmelo Anthony forced his way to New York, and they made it sound real negative. But Melo, to his credit, he took all of this like a man and stood up. And he did not back away from it. And to his credit. But the negativity just created more with the Knicks. See? Then James Dolan, who stepped in to get Melo against Donnie Walsh and against D'Antoni when they were strategizing, he steps in, he forces the Melo trade through. He messed up there. And so now he's still getting involved. It just all blow up. Thank you, Samir Suriano, for the $5. Stephen A is a clown. Sorry if I missed this. What do you think is starting 5? We didn't get there yet, Samir. We're gonna get there in a second. So you're not behind. So now you had Dolan now, who they already hated for 10 years, 15 years prior. You had him stepping in, making bad moves, right? And so that just, blew it all up. So then Dolan was listening. Knicks Nation at that time was yelling. Y'all was yelling, and he heard y'all. That's the problem. It was part of the problem, because some of y'all would yell for this man to get fired and this man, and he'd do it, even if it wasn't the right move. Dolan was listening to Knicks Nation. He wasn't listening to the media, but he was making bad decisions listening to y'all. So, and he was listening to certain ESPN dudes like SAS. He was listening to that, and he was making moves based on that, but he didn't know. And then he later admitted, I don't know anything about basketball. He said, I don't know anything about basketball. So he was trying to get a big name that he can hand the team over to. Just, I'm gonna give you the ring. You're gonna handle the team. That's when he decided, I'm gonna go get Phil Jackson. Okay. I'm gonna go get Phil. Phil Jackson had retired. He had his money. He was out there in Montana somewhere. Okay, he was out there in Montana somewhere, and so Dolan said, "I'm gonna give you 40 million." He said, "Nah." "I'm gonna give you 45 million." He said, "Nah, I'm not coming out of retirement." Finally, Dolan took a trip out to Montana and said, "I'm gonna give you 60 million." Well, who wants to say no to that? So he brings in Phil Jackson with the idea of just letting him handle stuff. Period. Phil Jackson proceeds to show that he was not an executive. He was a great coach, but he was not an executive. He was not an executive. And he went to mess up all of the heads of Melo. He was messing with their play. He was messing with the head of his coaches, trying to get them to implement this triangle the way he wanted it. And it just messed up. He was messing up. Now, he was a great coach, but he didn't know what to do in terms of executive, how to handle that. So Dolan had to step in, eat the money that he owed him. Then he put his boy, Steve Mills from Roosevelt, Long Island in there. And Steve Mills, good as he tried, hard as he tried, one of the things he promised, and I'll tell y'all, he said, "I'm not going to trade no first-round picks. Thanks, C.L. Kenyon, for the 2000 Super. Remember we Patrick Ewing Jr.? Yeah, that's another thing. But, we can't go into all those little details. That's too granular, bro. But, yeah. But Steve Mills said, "I'm not trading no first-round picks." And he didn't. But he didn't know how to put together a team. He put together, like that time, he had like 3 or 4 power forwards on the team at the same time. They went and they signed Julius Randle, but they also got Bobby Portis. I forgot who else they got. They got like a whole bunch of power forwards. He didn't know how to put together the team properly. Then he hires David Fizdale. Enough said. Enough said. Okay, enough said. He hires David Fizdale. That's right. He had Mook. He had Taj, he had Portis, he had Randall. He had 4 power forwards, man. Noah Von Lee, that's right. Now we catching to the modern time. So he really didn't know how to put together a roster, but he was smart enough not to trade away first-round picks, and he traded KP, which was the right move to do, and he set the Knicks up for the future. So then, eventually, here come the Dom. And he's handed the Knicks, because again, Dolan's been trying to hand it to somebody, so he hands it to Leon Rose. And Leon, is from my perspective, from seeing all of that history myself firsthand, this man knows what he's doing. Okay, now with that in mind, let's talk about this summer. So the hate for the media is going to be there until the Knicks show that they're a perennial long-term winner. The hate's going to be there. Eventually, they will win some of the modern dudes over who weren't there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They're going to win some dudes over. Okay, they're going to win some dudes over. Okay, but you got to create a long-term sustainable win. And that belief from the beginning, that was Leon Rose's deal. He has not been trying to trade his way into a championship. Nobody can accuse him of doing that. You can accuse Leon Rose of making mistakes with Kemba and Evan if you want, but you can't accuse him of trading away first-round picks, for named players to just win a quick chip. He has not done that. And that's been a Knick problem, like I said, going back to at least 78. Okay, so you're talking about what, 44 years of trying to trade your way to a chip. Okay, Russell, 999, Giannis, SGA's Devin Booker. Where did these stars come from? The heavens? No, the draft. That's right. Tired of hearing of D. Mitchell. Time to look at our drafted talent. That's exactly right. I believe we have a star or two in here. Amen, Russell. Amen, Russell Reed. Thanks for the $9.99 super truck. But so listen here. So you cannot accuse Leon Rose of trying to trade his way to create shortcuts to a chip. Cannot do that because he has not done it. And so here we are, and this is the third Leon Rose summer right here. This is the third one. Okay, this is the third summer. And here we sit in his third summer with 2023, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 7 number ones that we own. Here's his third summer with 4 protected picks. Milwaukee's, Washington's, Detroit's, and Dallas's. Here's his third summer. Okay. Now, listen here. I'm not going to try to create clicks by talking about what might have happened behind the scenes. Unless you're talking to Leon Rose, You don't know what happened behind the scenes, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes. Berman ain't in the talks. You hear what I'm saying? He ain't there when they making the phone call. And whoever he talking to might be on crack. Because Berman half the time wrong anyway, much as I respect the brother. But you know what I'm talking about. He does stuff for clicks. So if you're not there, you can't say nothing about what they did, why they did it, who they offered. You can't say nothing about that. You're not there. But let's look at the bottom line. Okay? Let's look at the bottom line. What has happened? Here, the Knicks have, this year, right now, as I'm speaking to you, R.J. Barrett, age 22. Mitchell Robinson, age 24. Randall, age 27, going to be 28 in November. Jalen Brunson just turned 26. Trenton Grimes, 22. Cam Reddish, 23. Emmanuel Quickly, 22. Deuce McBride, 22. Isaiah Hartenstein, 24. Isaiah Sims going to be 24. Jericho Sims going to be 24 in October. That's what they got right now. Plus 11 number ones. That's what we got. I'm not guessing. I'm not looking for verbal gossip. Y'all can look this up. This is what we call FACTS. Facts. That's where we are right now. That's where we are. Gary Joseph, my brother. Brother Raw, all the best with your family. Thank you, my brother. I greatly appreciate that. And, of course, the $20 super chat. Thank you, my big brother. Appreciate that. Now, that's the facts. That's where we are. Let's go over that again for you in Knicks Nation, listening to all of this BS from the media. R.J. Barrett, 22. Mitchell Robinson, 24. Julius Randle, 27. Jalen Brunson, 26. Quentin Grimes, 22. Cam Reddish, 23. Emmanuel Quickly, 22. Deuce McBride, 22. Isaiah Hartenstein, 24. Sims is 23, going to be 24 in October. That's what we got right now. Plus 11 number ones. 11. That's where we are in summer 3 of Leon Rose. Okay? Don't listen to what they were offering Utah, what Utah turned down, what they could have did, what didn't happen, woulda, coulda, shoulda, BS. Come on, y'all. This is where we are right now. That's where we at. Okay? That's where we at. Now, as far as people that, dang, excuse me, you absolutely right. Where's my man? Jabronis. Obi Toppin. Why can I forget one of my favorite Knicks on the beat? 24. That's right. That's right. That's right. Obi Toppin 24. See? We got so much money. I can't even count it all. See, Jabroni? We got so much money. I can't even, in terms of young talent, I can't even count it all. Okay? Now, this is where we stand on the weekend of Labor Day weekend. Now, if you'll remember now, last week, right? I think we did the broadcast last Sunday. We've been doing this Sundays for a couple of Sundays now. I told you about Labor Day weekend, this whole thing was going to be sorted out. Didn't I not tell you that? I said by Labor Day weekend, this thing's going to be sorted out. Either they're going to walk or they're going to get Donovan Mitchell. Either going to walk or get it. I told you this was going to happen, right? Why? Because Ainge could not go into the season with Mitchell on his roster. And the Knicks were not going to wait until the last minute to get their roster together. Okay? Because this is an important season. It's an important season for several people. It's an important season for Tom Thibodeau. Y'all see what I'm, because Tom Thibodeau, if he come out his face wrong, he can lose his job by the All-Star break. If he come out his face wrong, Scott Morgan, man, you come up rich. Scott Morgan came with the 50-piece, the 2 dubs and 10. Scott Morgan, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate that. He came with the 50-piece. Oh, Scott Morgan, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm humbled, man. I really am. Okay, but look here. Son from Brooklyn, 20-piece. He came with the dub. You build teams to attract stars, not the other way. Thank you. Thank you, son from Brooklyn. The Knicks have opportunity to build sustainable winner by playing and developing young players. That's it. That's it. That's what we're talking. See? So Thibs, as some of you, or many of you, I have to say, have pointed out already, We may have the wrong coach for this roster, right? Some of you have pointed this out. We may have the wrong coach for this roster. Now, I was hoping, I'm going to be real, I've always really respected Thibs from even when he was Jeff Van Gundy's assistant and when he was the defensive coordinator for the Celtics. I respected him. Okay, I respected him. When he was the head coach for the Bulls, he brought that out because the year that Derrick Rose blew out his knee, they were back in the top of the East the next year. They were still competing in the East after Derrick Rose blew out his knee. Some of y'all don't remember that, but they were still competing because of that defense, man, in Chicago. So I respected him. And I was hoping he would have learned from some of his past mistakes in terms of this overly veteran thing, right? But we saw in the last 2 seasons, not really. So now Randall is probably a senior. None of these guys are old, so don't get me wrong. Randall is one of the guys you would consider a veteran on this particular team at age 27, which is still young, right? He's still young. And then you got Derrick Rose, who is obviously going to be 33 in October. So he's 33. You got Derrick Rose, and then you got Evan Fournier, who's going to be 30, I think. I think Fournier is going to be 30, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just make sure I get that right. Let me get Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier born in 92. Evan Fournier, he's going to be 30 on October 29th. That's the same birthday as my mom. He's going to be 30 on October 29th. All right, Evan Fournier. So he's going to be 30 on the 29th. So you got Derrick Rose, 33. Evan Fournier going to be 30. And then Randall, those are your real veterans. So look here. Even if Thibodeau decides to focus on these 3, right? Listen, y'all know it's an 82-game season, man. It's an 82-game season. Everybody, even Thibs says this, everybody's going to play. Okay? Now, the thing about Fournier, and listen, I can understand Fournier high, but let me just be real with you. I think y'all can agree, right? FIBA is not the NBA. Can we agree with that? Can we agree on that one? FIBA is not the NBA. Why do I say that? Why do I make that statement? Because you can see my man going off in FIBA, and that's all good, but that ain't the league. Now, you have to come to the conclusion that what we're seeing right now, as far as Evan Fournier, is we're seeing his prime. Evan Fournier is right now in his prime. You're seeing the best of Evan Fournier right now. Okay, you're seeing the best of him. Now, looking at what the Knicks have on the wing, now. The wing is probably, I think y'all can agree also, can we agree that aside from the point guard, the most important position on the floor for a championship team is the wing spot, right? Look at Boston, right? They got Marcus Smart, Tatum, and Brown, right? The 2 wings they drafted top of the draft, in the top part of the draft. Marcus Smart was also a lottery pick, and they built around these 3 guys, and that's your important spots right there. You got to have your Kawhis, your Paul Georges. You got to have your wings, right? Okay. So Fournier's a wing. But what else do you got on the wing? You got Quentin Grimes on the wing. Right? You got Quentin Grimes on the wing. You got R.J. Barrett on the wing. And you got Cam Reddish on the wing. Okay, let's think about this now. Let's think about this. You got Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, and Cam Reddish on the wing right now. Okay, now R.J. is 22, right, in his 4th season. Cam is 23 in a contract year. He ain't getting no extension. He wants that money, right? And then, of course, you got Quentin Grimes, who has already shown. And I'm telling y'all right now, Thibs favors Grimes. Thibs loves Grimes like he loved his grandson IQ. Well, Grimes is the new grandson. Y'all need to understand. Like he loved IQ, I think he loves Grimes even more. Grimes is the new. I don't think even Thibs looks at IQ as a starting point guard. And I know that sounds crazy. It sounds crazy to me, to be quite honest with you, because I think IQ could play the point. But I don't think Thibs thinks he could play the point because he should have been giving him the keys from last year. But he didn't. And y'all know I'm a deuce high. But I got to admit, Q could, I think if you gave IQ a little bit, he's not the best with terms of court vision, I will admit. But the boy could play. But I don't think Thibs believes he's a starting point guard, but he did not hesitate to start Quentin Grimes when Evan Fournier was out last year. He did not hesitate to do it. And you know what? He would have continued to play him if he didn't hurt his knee. Okay? So you got RJ and you got Quentin Grimes and you got Cam. You got three wings right there. You got three wings. To me, and let me define wing. Some of you are trying to correct me already. Let me define wing. A wing is, to me, either a 2 and or a 3. It's not a guy that necessarily played a 4, but he's a 2 and or a 3. RJ, for example, can play small forward and shooting guard. Cam Reddish can play small forward and shooting guard. Now, Quentin Grimes is pretty much straight 2 guard, but all of them, to me, are wings. Okay, that's my definition. I'm just telling y'all. Okay, so we understand we're on the same page. So to me, you got 3 wings on the Knicks. RJ, Quentin Grimes, and Cam. But then you got this Fournier. Now, they just signed RJ to $120 million. Okay, that kicks in next summer. Don't kick in this year. You're getting $11 million right now. Quentin Grimes in his second year on a rookie deal. Cam is in the last year of his rookie deal. Okay, Cam is in the last year of his rookie deal. So you got these guys relatively cheap this season. You got Evan Fournier in his prime. Okay, Evan Fournier is in his prime. Now, I listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of your players are in their 20s. 2 of your players are in their 30s. You got a guy that's 30 in his prime with 3 young wings. If you're the coach, if you're the president, what is your move? If you're trying to develop a long-term sustainable winner, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got 3 wings in their 20s. You got Cam at 23, Q at 22, and RJ at 22. You got Evan Fournier in his prime at 30. What are you going to do? What do you do with Evan Fournier? Well, see, look, what I would do, what a shark like Ainge would do, you got to think like shark. See, much as I don't like Danny Ainge, but I got to give him his due. See, I'm not a dude to just hate a dude and hate him, hate what color pants he wear and just hate him all the time. I will give somebody their props when they got props. So you got to give props because you know what? I'm going to talk about what Ainge ended up with. You got to give him his props. But what Ainge would do is he would trade Evan Fournier for what he can get. If he can get a first rounder and put Fournier on a playoff team, he'll do it. Am I wrong? Would Ainge do that? Am I lying to y'all or not? Am I lying to y'all or am I telling y'all the truth? Would Ainge say, I'm going to trade Fournier as he's in his prime to a contender and see if we can get picks? Would he not do that? And let me tell you something. Leon is probably thinking the same way. Not a bag of chips now, but they're going to get something for him because I think if you add Fournier, now this is where it gets tricky. Nice say Fournier isn't guarding in the first. Maybe not. But can he get you a second? Can he get you a second? Let me ask you, New York's nice 718. Could you answer that? Because I'm serious. I want to know what you got to say. Yeah, okay, so we agree. So he can get at least a second, maybe 2. For Fournier, right? Now, here go a controversial one. I'm not trying to be controversial, but if you add Cam Reddish to that deal, can you get a first? If you add Cam Reddish with Fournier, can you get a first? Can you get a first? Yeah, can you? If you add Fournier and Reddish in a deal, can you get a first? Black Bolter says you can't. Jerry says you can. Nice says you can't. Cash out. So this is a mixed one. I think we need to get a poll. All right. Let's see. Can the Knicks superstar? Thank you for the $20 super chat. Can the Knicks get a first rounder for Cam Fournier? All right. Here we go. I'm going to put that out there. All right. Boom. I'm putting it out there. Thank you for the $20 super chat, my man, superstar, my brother, my aunt. Okay. Can the Knicks get a first rounder for Cam Fournier. So if they put Cam and Fournier in a trade, can they get a first rounder? Well, Gravy, we're not even dealing with whether it would be a mistake. I know it's controversial, but let's take our emotions out of it for a second. I'm asking a straight question. If you traded Cam Reddish with Fournier, can you get a first rounder? That's all I'm asking. Okay. Now, so then it looks like it's a big yes by Knicks Nation, and I'm agreeing with that. I think they can. Now, hold on. Before we continue, let's address the elephant in the room, which is what Gravy just brought up. Gravy brought up the elephant in the room. But you know what? Why would we trade Cam? I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. Why would we trade him? Right? Why would we do that? Right? That's an excellent question Gravy put out, and I know a lot of people are thinking about it. Why would we trade Cam Reddish? Because he got all the talent. I agree with you. He's probably the most physically talented player in the Knicks. I just read today he done spent most of his summer in Westchester working on his game. Got it. But so now a decision would have to be made. Okay, a decision would have to be made. Here's the decision that be made. You can trade Fournier and create space for a trio of RJ, Randall, and Q. You can trade Fournier and create space for your young trio of wings and get a second rounder, maybe 2 second rounders for him. Y'all hearing me, right? You could trade him to a playoff team and get a couple of second rounders for him. Or if you wanted a first, you can offer him to a team, to him and Cam, and try to get a first rounder for those two to a playoff team. We're not talking to we're not talking no play-in team or out there. We're not talking Detroit here. We're not talking Detroit. We're talking a playoff team. So that's the decision that Leon Rose has to make. I'm not going to say what he should do, but I'm telling you, that's all I'm saying is, no, they're not going to bring him off the bench for 18 million tears a week. They wouldn't do that. Why would they do that? They got Cam. Cam is 6 million. Why don't you bring him off the bench? Right? You see what I'm saying? They're not going to bring Fournier off the bench for no 18 million. No. He's going to go somewhere. If he's on a championship contender, he wouldn't mind coming off the bench for a championship contender. Okay. And no, the answer is not a 15-man roster, Carbonated, because come on. Y'all forgot Thibs is the coach? He only played 9 dudes and he plays 8 heavy minutes. The 9th man get 8 minutes. So no, that ain't going to happen. Okay, that ain't going to happen. So no, it ain't no 15-man roster. That's just going to have people sitting on the bench. You want people to play, right? So Lakers, Portland, Denver, there you go. Russell Reed, that's what I'm saying. You got to talk about who is out there that might need the services of a dead-eye shooter, even though his defense might be a little weak, but he's a dead-eye shooter in his prime. See, really, I'm going to tell you, if it was me, I would be looking to trade Evan Fournier and open up space for Cam, RJ, and Quentin. And what I would do, if you want to be fair about it, I would let them 3 fight for them 2 starting spots, and the third dude would be coming off the bench. You see what I'm saying? So I would let RJ, Quentin Grimes, and Cam fight it out. Now, RJ going to have the favorite because he just signed a $120 million deal, so he's going to start. But I would let Q and Cam battle for that last 2 guard spot right there. And then the other dude, whoever loses the battle, is in the rotation coming off the bench. Y'all hear what I'm saying? So that's what I would do if it was me. That's what I would do. Okay, but they also, if the rumor is true, and I don't know if it's true, because like I said, we just speculating. We don't know what's true. But if the Lakers are indeed interested in Cam Reddish and are willing to attach a 2027 pick to Cam with Fournier making the money work, and they gotta add some other money to make the money work. But for Westbrook's contract, they might have to think about that, because now you got more cap space next year. You see, brethren, and we're going to go into what Ainge got in a second, because that's important for us to see too. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. You see, brethren, every summer, there's either a disgruntled star that wants out, or B, a free agent star that has to be signed every summer. Okay, every summer, you're going to have that. Every summer, you're going to have either a disgruntled star like Donovan Mitchell that wants out, or B, a free agent. Okay, so don't trip about not getting Donovan Mitchell this summer. Okay, don't trip about that, because we still got, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players in their 20s. And most of those, with the exception of Randall, all of them are 24 or under. So we don't need to be tripping about what we didn't get this summer. You hearing me? We don't need to be tripping about what we didn't get this summer. There's next summer, and there's the summer after that. Someone asked me, why don't you talk about the possible players the Knicks could get next year? You know why? Because we're not next year yet. Let's let these guys play and see what we got. Then next year you can see who the holes that is to be filled and what's available. Right now, we don't know nothing. I don't like speculating, but we have no knowledge about what's going on. Mike K, thanks for the $5 super chat. Randall, Fournier, Rose for Westbrook. Don't even argue about the picks. Make a deal for them, because the opportunity cost of not developing the kids is used. I agree with that. I can't deny that. But I think we could get, Mike, I think we can get a pick in that scenario. I think we can extract a first rounder. We may not get 2 first rounders, but I'm just looking for one of them. If we can get a 27 or 29 first rounder. I'm wondering why the Lakers haven't pulled the trigger on Bogdanovich yet. I thought that they would get Pat Bev and Bogdanovich, because both of them are expiring. They did not pull the trigger on Bogdanovich. And I don't know why. Maybe they still will. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know what's going on with that. We got to see what's going on. But we got to see. But I want to tell you this. It is my belief, and this is raw Hebrew, giving you my opinion, which may not mean crap. So I'm just telling you right up front. I have a very strong feeling that the roster that I just laid out for y'all is not going to be the roster on opening night. That there's going to be another trade. I don't know who or what. I don't have no knowledge of anything internally, but I don't think the Knicks are going to go into opening night with this roster. Not because anything's wrong with this roster, but I think there's going to be tweaking to make room for some players to play. See, the way they've handled it so far, if you notice, last year, Thibodeau actually said this. Some of y'all will remember. What did he say? He said, they asked him about Alec Burks starting at the point. He said he's our best point guard because Derrick Rose is hurt and Kemba Walker was out of the rotation. He said Alec Burks was our best point guard. Y'all remember that? Do you remember he said that? He did say that. He said Alec Burks is our best option at the point. Now, he had IQ sitting there. He had Deuce sitting there. But he said, no, Alec Burks is our best option at the point. So what did the Knicks do? They traded Alec Burks. Now, Berman would stress they traded him to create cap space for JB. And I'm not going to argue with that sentiment, but I'm going to tell you this. They just took away his favorite point guard. Did they not? They just took away his favorite point guard. They just took him away. So what they trying to do? They're trying to give Thibs a message. No, he's not your best point guard. No, he's not. And they went and got Jalen Brunson. Okay? Why? Now, who else they taking away? I'm thinking, like I've been saying this, that 2 of the 3, Randall, Rose, and Evan Fournier, 2 of those 3 are going to be moved, I think, before opening night. 2 of those 3 are going to be moved before opening night. I don't know who. And let me tell you this also, just to cover my back. If none of them are moved, which I doubt, if none of them are moved, the Knicks are still going to be okay. If those are the 3 veterans you have, the Knicks are still going to be okay. This year, they're still going to be okay. Okay. But I will say this. If the Knicks start off slow with these 3 guys on the roster, Thibs is going to be fired. If the Knicks start off slow with these 3 guys on the roster, Thibs is going to be fired by the All-Star break. No. If they start off slow with these 3 guys on the roster, because Rose has put out 2 basic statements in the last 12 months, and both of them had the term young core in it. Right? Right? That's not I'm not speculating. That's what he did. He put out 2 public statements in the last 12 months, and both of them had young core attached to them. Okay. See, so we know what he's trying to do. And so either Thibs is on board or he's not. And I'm telling you, now, if they start fast, and that's why I'm thinking 2 of these 3 will be moved, because what will happen? It will force Thibodeau to play all of these 20-somethings. He'll have to rely on RJ. He'll have to rely on Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, or Quentin Grimes, Jalen Brunson. He's going to have to rely on these guys. Okay, he's going to have to, because his vets will be gone. His favorite vets will be gone. Okay, so he'll have to rely on these guys. So that's what I'm saying. 2 of these 3 will be moved. I don't know which 2, but I'm of the belief that before the opening night, 2 of these 3 guys are not going to be on the roster. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Georgeson, Georgeson. So I can't say your name properly if I'm masculine. Georgeson, Sver. He said, yes, right. So if I'm saying to you, if they start off slow with these 3 guys on the roster, he'll be fired by All-Star break. Like if they're losing, if they got a losing record by the All-Star break with these 3 guys on their roster, he'll be fired. Okay, he'll be fired because that's he wouldn't have learned nothing. He wouldn't have learned nothing. Okay, he wouldn't have learned nothing. Okay, so but if the Knicks trade, if I'm telling you the truth, and what happens if they trade 2 of these 3 and they start snow, he will not be fired. And why I say that? Because he's got no choice but to play these guys. And I think, Quentin Johnson, thanks for the $9.99 super chat. As a reminder, we do have the great Walt Parent. That's right. And we do want to operate as a team under the cap, which means whether Berman, the Diva, likes it or not. That's right. I'm agreeing with you on that. Because Leon Rose, listen, can we agree on this, Knicks Nation? Is Leon Rose cheap? Can we agree on this, Knicks? Is Leon Rose cheap? Is he a cheapskate or is he not? When it comes to giving away, is he a cheap dude or is he not? Okay, he's definitely, that's a nice way of putting it, Brother Ruel. He's frugal, that's right. So I'm telling y'all, he doesn't want to be operating over the cap next summer. He wants to be under the cap. He wants to be flexible. So that's what I'm saying to you. 2 of these 3 are going to be gone. And I would agree with somebody that they said Randall and Fournier. And the reason I would say that, I already mentioned Fournier being in his prime, and you got 3 wings you got to deal with. Randall, because you got Obi Toppin, but I can see them keeping Derrick Rose if they needed to. Derrick Rose might be the hottest commodity of the 3. And you know why? Because he's an expiring $14.5 million, and he can come off a playoff team's bench and make a big impact. Right? Y'all see what I'm saying? So Derrick Rose can come off a playoff team's bench and make a big impact, and he's an expiring $14.5 million. You see, a tax-paying team like the Lakers should want Derrick Rose because it's just like they want Pat Bev because Pat Beverly is expiring. So if they got Rose, that'd be $27 million of expiring money coming off their books. That reduces their tax hit next summer. You see what I'm saying? So that reduces their taxes. They probably have to pay $50 million in taxes because of those 2 dudes if they weren't expiring, but they're expiring. So that reduces their tax hit. They can replace them next summer with minimum contracts. Okay, so that's why I think Rose might be a possibility, but I can see them keeping Rose for the same reason. I can see the Knicks keeping Rose for the same reason. He's expiring. Right, so he can help us in the playoffs coming off our bench, right? Rose, you can't deny Rose can still play, but he just can't play 30 minutes a game, right? He can't do that for 72 games. He can't do it. He's a 15, 20 minute a game player. And if you do that with him next summer, in spurts, exactly, man. If you do that with him, you come to the playoffs, you got a dangerous weapon coming off your bench, right? All right. So that's what I'm saying. So I can see the Knicks keeping him and moving Randall and Fournier and keeping Rose because of that. But I could also see the Lakers or somebody wanting Rose because of the same reason. He's expiring. Okay, he's expiring. So we'll see. But I predict the Knicks are not going to have opening night roster with all of these guys. Not with these guys. Not that anything's wrong with this roster. I don't have a problem with the roster, honestly. But I see them tweaking it to cause Thibodeau to play guys like an Obi Toppin, to play guys like an IQ, to play guys like a Quentin Grimes, to play them heavier minutes, to have to force Thibs to depend on them, like he would depend on Luol Deng, like he would depend on, Joakim Noah, stuff like that. You want him to depend on these guys like that. Okay. Now, Danny Ainge at the end of this summer, here we are in September, the end of the summer, okay? Unofficially, to me, the end of the summer has always been Labor Day. To me, the beginning, unofficial. Now, officially, the beginning of the summer is June 21st, and the end of the summer is September 21st. But unofficially, to me, the summer really begins Memorial Day weekend and really ends Labor Day weekend. Because when you're in school, it's the end of the summer. You're not off no more, right? So here we are at the end of the summer. Danny Ainge has 6 unprotected picks on top of the 7 unprotected picks that they already have. So he has 12 unprotected picks. He's got pick swaps in 2029, 2026 with Minnesota. He's got Kessler, Beasley, Vanderbilt, Obaji, Sexton, Markkanen. That's a good crew to start a new team with. He's going to develop this team into a playoff contender in 4 years. Now, let's talk about Cleveland and why the Knicks did right by not getting Donovan Mitchell. You know what Cleveland and Minnesota did with this trade, with their trades? Let me tell you, I'm going to try to speak it as clean for YouTube video as I can. You grown men in here should hear what I'm about to say, and you will understand what I'm about to say. Cleveland and Minnesota shot their load. Did they not? They shot their load already. Okay? The Knicks ain't shot their load yet. Cleveland and Minnesota just shot their load. What does that mean? That means they got 2 or 3 seasons to make this work to a finals, or people are going to get traded and fired. Am I right? No, am I right or not? Am I right or not? Is that correct? Did I just say something that was true? Okay. Cleveland and Minnesota shot their load. Now, I don't blame them for shooting their load because look, Minnesota got Karl Anthony Towns on a max deal. They got D'Angelo Russell on a max deal. Now they got Gobert on a max deal. They got to make something happen. And they got Ant coming up, right? Ant going to be 20. Ant just turned 21. Okay, so they got to make something happen before Ant's turn to get his max deal. Okay, they got to make something happen before Ant's turn to get his max deal. And I apologize if some of y'all didn't like the reference, but that's just my way of illustrating what I think just happened. And I'm sorry if y'all don't like that. But y'all got what I'm saying. They shot their load away. Okay, so now they got to make this happen before it's Ant's turn. Because why? Because in 2 seasons, Ant's up for his max deal. Let's talk about, Ant gonna get his max. Anthony Edwards gonna get a max. There's no doubt about it. He's gonna get his max. He's gonna get his max deal. Okay. Cleveland just signed $190 million for Darius Garland. They got Evan Mobley coming up in his 2nd year. They got $100 million locked up in Jared Allen. And they got now $163 million in Donovan Mitchell. Before Evan Mobley reaches his turn for his max that he's definitely going to get, they got to make something happen. That's 3 seasons. So either they make something happen or all these cats going to have to start getting traded with the new deal of the CBA coming. They're going to start trading them and start moving them and start trying. And so they shot their load already. Now, Cleveland still has their 24, 26, 28 picks, even though they got pick swaps. Minnesota got their 24, 26, 28 picks, even though they got pick swaps. So they got a little bit of something to work with. The Knicks didn't do that yet, and they shouldn't have. What did we just talked about? We trying to get off possibly Evan Fournier's deal. Well, let's say even if we don't get off Evan Fournier's deal next year, Evan Fournier is expiring. Very easy to get off that deal. In 1 year, he's expiring. You could trade an expiring deal very easily in the NBA. You see what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden you got what? Julius Randle. You got to move that. That's going to be a little tougher. The Leon Rose-Adon is not trying to attach no picks, but he may have to move off Randle's deal. Once you move off those two deals, what do you have left? You got Jalen Brunson at $104 million. He's 26. You got 3 seasons with him, 3 or 4 seasons. You got RJ at age 22. Age 22. And Mitchell Robinson, age 24 at $60 million, which is dirt cheap. And Obi Toppin not even there yet. Who's not a Obi Toppin, even if he started this year and started busting it out, he's not going to be a max player. So you're in good position to go get another disgruntled star. You got all your draft picks. And next year, I think it's a universal accepted thing that next year's draft is going to be pretty star-packed, pretty talented, right? With especially with the 2 kids at the top, with Scoot at the top, with Wembanyama there at the top. You got a star-packed, possibly. I got to look closer at this draft. I haven't really, except for the 2 guys at the top. Scoot is the deal. Wembanyama to me is the second coming of KP, and the second coming of your boy Chet. Very talented, supremely talented. But y'all got to remember, this is the league, and it's 82 games, baby. You know, that boy's skinny in the behind. That's all I'm saying. He's skinny in the behind. He got talent up the yin. So does Chet Holmgren have talent? Yeah. Chet Holmgren got talent, but he's too light in the behind. I wasn't giving the boy 50 games. He didn't even make it to the start of the season. Okay? That's all I'm saying. He didn't even make it to the start of the season. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Yeah. See? And you can't force a dude to put on weight, you know, when his body's not naturally that big. It's got to be gradual. I mean, some of y'all don't remember. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were both really skinny when they came to the NBA. Some of y'all remember they were really skinny. But over time, they built up their bodies. And by the time Jordan was in his 7th year, he had a different body. And then Pippen too, by the time you start winning them championships, they was much more, you know, muscular, physical. It takes time. You can't just put weight on in one season like that. You know who tried, the latest dude tried to do that was the kid that came out of Alabama. He was drafted by Kyra Lewis. Kyra Lewis they thought he was too skinny, whatever. And he tried to put on weight quick and he hurt his knee. See, you can't do that. It's got to be naturally slow over time. You try to put on too much weight too fast in the NBA, you're going to hurt yourself, man. Okay? But your boy Wembanyama, whatever his name is, from France, you know, I mean, the boy's supremely skilled. There's no doubt. He got off the charts, Hall of Fame type skills. But he's too light in the butt right now. He's too light in the butt. Okay? He's too light in the butt. And so it depends on what team drafts and what they expect from him. If I'd be hitting the weights, and I wouldn't expect him to gain 20 pounds in a year, but like if he could gain that 10 pounds by next year, you know, he can gain a little 10 by next year, a little 10, 12 in muscle next year. And that would be hard to do. You know, it's hard to gain muscle on your brow, you know, pure muscle. I mean, naturally without roids and stuff. You see what I'm saying? But if he could just, because he's a young boy, maybe he can put on that 10 pounds, you know. Maybe he can put on that 10 pounds. You mean what I mean? So, yeah. So I'm just saying, right now he's too light in the behind. But next year, maybe he puts on that 10, you know, maybe he could, you know, maybe he can come back a little bit and build up slowly, depending on what team gets him. It's like that boy that was in OKC, Pokachevsky. He also too light in the behind, but they don't expect him to play heavy minutes, Pokachevsky. And he also been hurt in his first couple of seasons. You know what I'm saying? Pokachevsky was, y'all remember, that boy got skills too. He does. Okay, of course, you know, getting used to the speed of the game. His first 2 seasons couldn't hit the broadside of a bomb. Maybe he gets better in that area, but he's still light in the behind. It's an 82 game grind. You got to have a little bit of behind on you, a little bit of shoulders, a little bit of something. You know, some sinew. You know, something. Yeah. Well, you know, you got to tell it like it is. You see what I mean? Just trying to be right with you. Yeah, but KP was trying to put on muscle, you know, during his tenure with the Knicks. He was. KP was putting on some muscle. He had got up to like, I think you'll remember, right? He got to like 225, 230 when he hurt himself. But obviously, he has never really reached the height that his skill level dictates. I mean, can we agree on that? KP has a high skill level from coming in the league with a high skill level. But because he was also light in the butt, he had a trouble reaching the heights, without getting hurt. And I'm still kind of hoping for the best for the brother, because he did wear the blue and orange at one time. Okay? He did wear the blue and orange at one time. And I liked KP. I didn't like his brother. I thought his brother, didn't know what he was doing and and messed the situation up. But anyway, I'm hoping KP comes back nice. I like KP. I always did. I thought, he has a high skill level. Kid handled New York pretty well. He just got a little bit in over his head, a little too fast. I wouldn't have gave him the max deal at that time either. I think Mills did the right thing by trading him, but I'm hoping he can make some moves except against New York, in Washington. I hope he was a bit of a diva, and his brother kind of fostered that. But I don't hate KP at all. And I'm hoping that, he can get do some things with Bill down there, and they can do, why? Because if they do good, man, the Knicks get their number one. If they do good, the Knicks get their number one. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's one of our protected picks. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let them do good down there. And we get their number one too. So that's all I'm saying. But I like his game. He got skills, and he's another example. High level skill at 7'3", Kristaps Porzingis. But because he was light, because he's, a little bit, I don't want to use the word brittle, but, it's 82 games. It's 82 games. Okay, this is the NBA, no joke. It's 82 games at high level intensity, right, for most of these games. The NBA, no joke. So you got to be ready to play. So today, like I said, in today's NBA, most of these guys, if you can get 70 games out of them, you got a good season out of some of these guys. You can't expect nobody to play 82 games. Back in the day when Ewing in the 90s Knicks was playing, everybody played 82 games. It was common thing for people to play 82 games, But now it's rare when somebody play 82 games, right? So, so that's that. But Ainge ended up with all of this. Now, they shot their load, but they got to go for it. The Knicks weren't ready to do that. And I didn't think the Knicks, remember, I told y'all the very first Donovan Mitchell thing I did, I said, proceed with caution. Some of y'all remember that video? I did a video early in the process, like June. I said, proceed with caution because you're dealing with Ainge. And I said to y'all at the time, I said, this don't taste right. Remember that? I said, this don't taste right. This don't taste right. It didn't taste right. And you know what it was? At the time, I look back now, and I'm saying the Knicks are not in the same position as Cleveland and Minnesota. They're just not in that same spot right now. Maybe next year we might be, but right now we not. Okay, and so we're not in the position to take advantage of a final piece, which Mitchell doesn't represent the piece you build around. Donovan Mitchell's not the piece you build around for a championship. He's that final piece that you add when you already got a contender. When you're already ready to go. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it wasn't tasting right. It wasn't feeling right, especially for all that capital that Ainge was asking for. But Cleveland and Minnesota, okay, if they want to shoot their load on this and try to make that move to the conference finals, go ahead. That's what they think, that's for us, it's not right for us, but it was all wrong for us, like that dude said in Rocky 2. Y'all remember Rocky 2? The trainer came up to Apollo Creed. He said, man, he's all wrong for us, baby. He said, he's all wrong for us. We don't want no parts of this dude. He's all wrong for us. Well, I'm going to tell you what. Donovan Mitchell was all wrong for us right now. We're not ready for him right now. He's all wrong for us. Okay, back up. And I'm glad it didn't work out. So I'm happy we got what we got. So now, like I said, the next moves is, I believe that of those three veterans, 30-plus players, or Randall's not, but the two 30-year-olds plus Randall, I think two of those are going to get moved before opening night. And so we'll find out who they are. If I'm right, I could be very wrong about that. I'm not going to argue with y'all if y'all say, well, wrong, that's not going to happen. We're going to have the same stuff. Okay. But one thing I will guarantee you right now, regardless, I'm going to guarantee you this. Y'all can mark it. This is September 4th, 2022. Let me mark this for y'all. Evan Fournier is not your starting two guard. Did you hear what I said? Listen to what I said. I'm gonna own this one. Evan Fournier is not your starting two guard opening night. I'm gonna tell you right now. Some of y'all on Evan Hive, and I hear you. Okay, cool. Let's match wits on this one then, because I'm gonna tell you right now, Evan Fournier is not your starting two guard come opening night. I'm gonna guarantee you that. I'm gonna guarantee you that right now. Okay, whether he's moved or not, he's not your starting two guard. I'm gonna guarantee you that right now. Okay, period. End of story. I'm telling you. Okay, and you got, and it's going to be either RJ, QG, or Cam. There's your starting two guard. It's going to be either RJ at the starting two, which means you're going to have Cam starting at the 3, or it's going to be Quentin Grimes, or it's going to be Cam Reddish. It's not going to be Evan Fournier. I'm 100% sure on this one. 100% sure. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I don't even know what the deal is, what trade is going to happen. I'm thinking maybe LA, but I don't know. But I'm going to tell you what, he's not your starting two guard. Not this year. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to happen. Okay? Not going to happen. You want to say he's going to come off the bench or whatever? Okay, whatever. But I'm going to tell you right now, he's not starting. No defense, no bueno, baby. You still got Tom Thibodeau as your coach. No defense, no bueno. No defense, no bueno. No defense, no bueno. No defense, no bueno. Okay? No defense, no bueno. I hear you, man. I'm very confident in this one, though. He's not even going to be, he's not starting on opening night. He's not your opening night starter at the 2. Yeah, Russell Reed, you and me on the same page. No defense, no bueno, baby. No defense, no bueno. To all my Boricuas and all of my brethren from Española and Panama and Colombia, no defense, no bueno. Y'all know y'all help me have fun on this thing, baby. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you that right now. That ain't happening, man. Spectacular. That's right. No defense, no bueno, baby. That's what's going on right here. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We're not gonna have year 2 of no defense from that wing spot. Not with Thibodeau. Richard Williams, $5 super chat. Do we need a senior OKR guy off the bench after Evan and Randall gone? Old wise baller on the court. You talking about Melo? Are you Richard Williams? Are you talking about Melo? Thanks for the $5 super chat. Are you talking about Melo? Are you trying to imply Melo? Are you trying to imply Carmelo Anthony, Mr. Richard Williams? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to play. Are you trying to imply Carmelo Anthony? Is that what you're trying to say here? The old dude with the head. Okay. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Honestly, it depends. If the Knicks were to trade Julius Randle and start Obi Toppin, and you were to tell me that somehow in the middle of those trades, they would end up with either Jay Crowder or Kelly Oubre, I would say forget Melo. If they don't end up with those two guys, Melo's a possibility. That's all I'm gonna say. Because if you're trying to tell me they trade Julius Randle and you have Obi Toppin as your starting 4, I would not mind having Jay Crowder behind him. I would not mind having Kelly Oubre behind him. I would not. Or if they actually ended up with what's the guy over there? Barnes. If Harrison Barnes came to New York, oh my goodness, I would love that. Can we get Harrison Barnes behind Obi? That would be tremendous. 3-team deal. We end up with Harrison Barnes. Aspiring $18 million. I would not have a problem with that. Okay. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. So to answer my man's question with, and again, thanks for the $5 super chat. Yeah, I think we could use a veteran behind Obi Toppin. And I mean behind Obi Toppin. Yes. I think we could use a vet behind Obi. Yeah. For real. I would love that. Okay. I think of Jalen Brunson, though he just only turned 26, as a veteran, because he's got that coach's mentality. I think of him as a veteran already because of that. So I don't really think of him. I mean, he's not an old player. He's not even in his prime yet. But anyway. No, Mook is signed for the Clippers. Got Mook locked down. They got Mook locked down. So Mook is part of their rotation. He's not going anywhere. So no, Mook is not available, really. Mook is not available. Taj is locked down by Washington. He just signed a contract with Washington this summer. He's not going anywhere either. So they're not available. Barnes is expiring. Oubre is expiring. Crowder, all three of those guys are expiring contracts. So they are available, if the teams want to part ways with for Julius Randle. Well, we'll see what happens. That's to be determined, right? That's to be determined. They're all expiring contracts. Rudy Gay has 2 years, $12 million on his deal. I don't know if the Knicks want to take that. He's a possibility, but Rudy Gay is 2 years, $12 million on his deal. So he's not really, I mean, I'm sure Ainge would love to trade him. I don't know what the New York Knicks, don't say that. Oh gosh, some of y'all. No, but we'll see what happens. We'll see. What's up, Alex? What's up, Rivera? Alexander Rivera, what's up, my brother? Dang. Gumby throwing blows out here. Gumby Jeff, you throwing blows today, bro. You throwing blows. You throwing blows out here today. He out here throwing blows. My man Gumby, my man. Gumby Jeff, my man, throwing blows, man. He out here throwing blows. Man. J.R. Ewing says I slandered Randall. Wow, because I think I want him traded. Is that slander? I'm sorry, Randall Hive. If I could get rid of this brother for a bag of chips, I'm doing it. But that don't mean the Knicks feel the same way. Rather, what I say, J. Randall Ewing, you would care about what the Knicks actually feel. If the Knicks want to keep him, they keep him. If they don't, what are you saying? You and I arguing about what we have no power over. Do I have power to trade Julius Randle? No. Do you have power to keep him? No, you don't. So what are we talking about? I don't know what the Knicks are going to do. I'm just telling you that out of the three players of Randall, D. Rose, and Evan Fournier, it is my strong belief that two of them will not be on the Knicks on opening night. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Trollers are really sad people, to be quite honest with you, because they're people that are anonymous and just print things like some child would print, right? And they're not answerable to anybody, and they really don't mean anything, but whatever. That's a sad situation. Whatever you're doing, man, with your can of beer and whatever you're doing there in your chair, or whatever you're doing with yourself, whatever you're doing with yourself or whatever, enjoy yourself. Okay. Whatever. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think two of those three guys, whatever. Whatever. But two of those three guys are going to be, I don't think they're going to be here open tonight. Which two? I don't know. Could be Randall, could be Rose, could be Fournier. Don't know. But I just feel like the Knicks are going to make another move, open up some space for some of these guys that got to play. Okay. Yeah, I believe Mitch Rob is getting ready to have a year. If he could stay healthy with a point guard, Mitch Rob getting ready to have a year, baby. Mitch Rob getting ready to do some things, man. Remember that 19-point, 21 rebound game he had against the Jazz? Y'all remember that? He had 19-point, 21 boards, 3 blocks against the Jazz without a real point guard. I don't care if they was all dunks and layups. I'll take that every night. And all day, twice on Sunday. 19 points, 21 boards, 3 blocks. I'll take that all day, every day. Every day. Come on, baby. Every day. Yeah, I'm looking for Mitch Rod with JB. Man, please. Please. It's going to be good, baby. It's going to be good. No, stop, Russ. All right. I want to thank y'all for the support today. I want to thank y'all for hanging with me. We talk some Knicks. I want to thank y'all for making this a lot of fun. Y'all make this a lot of fun. I ain't fronting. People like Gumby, my man Ruggs, y'all make this fun, man. I ain't fronting. Y'all make this fun. Okay, for real. You'll make it fun. And I have a good time, and you seriously, I started this channel, this Knicks part as a outlet, from real life. And y'all have made it just like real cool. It's really just what I wanted. It's really nice, man. So I want to thank all y'all and all of you people that put the big super chats up there, all the super chats. Really thank you very much. I really am humbled. I think today, as a matter of fact, I meant to say today, I went over 8,000. The channel went over 8,000. That's for you. That's you, Knicks Nation, doing it. Yeah, y'all did that. 8,000 subscribers today. We went over, and that's y'all doing that, man. That's y'all doing that. This year, Avery, I'd rather get the 8th seed. With the team that we have, with the youth that we have, I want the 8th seed. I'm not trying to tank. I'm trying to win. And I want these kids to be involved with that, to get that taste of winning in their mouth. And I think we'll be higher than the 8th seed going forward. But yeah, I want to win, okay, with the kids. I want to win with the kids. So again, I want to thank all of y'all, really from the bottom of my heart, for how you really, support this channel so well. This is fun. Honestly, if I had 2 dudes and me talking and nobody was subscribing, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't change. Y'all know I wouldn't, right? But y'all make it even more fun and make it more, easy to do, because y'all make it so much fun, man. It's much love. Thank you all for that. I appreciate all the love. I'm going to continue, by the grace of the Most High, to continue to put out the content. But, when I have something to say, if I don't have nothing to say, you won't see me. But with the Knicks, there's always something going on, right? And I'm expecting, honestly, I'm looking for something to happen this week. Most than a week and a half at the most. I'm looking between now and 10 days for something to pop off, a trade to happen from the Knicks. I'm expecting it. And so let's see what happens. I'm thinking something's going to happen, and we'll see what pops off as we go. And of course, we'll be here to talk about that. Thank you all for your well wishes. My dad is doing better. He's in his new spot. He's already happier. And my wife and I are in the process of cleaning this up and getting it together. We close on Tuesday. Thank you for your prayers. Appreciate that greatly. We just got and that's why I'm on. I got the cable guy came here today and set up the cable and the Wi-Fi. So we're good in that regard. And so we're moving forward. Thank you all for your prayers. Really looking forward to getting together with my man Ruel, my man Imana, some of your brothers down here in Florida already. Really looking forward, once we get settled, to get back into that and getting together at some of our favorite places. And you know what? My man Imana and Ruel, we were talking about trying to get what y'all talking about? A booth? What you talking about? A skybox for the Knicks Orlando. When the Knicks are in Orlando, trying to get a skybox. That's what we was talking about, right, Imana? We was talking about that. Ruel. So we putting our money together, right? The skybox. We talking about that. So when we get more information, Imana, between my man Imana Prakash, Ruel, about the cost of a skybox, if everybody want to get down, maybe 5-10 of us could get down, that's in the Florida area, and put down a little bit. I don't know how much it costs, and see if we can get down and get that going. Okay, let's look at the schedule and let's see what we could get as far as the cost of that, right? All right, brothers, let's see what we could get as far as the cost of that. And right. And then we see what we could get, and let's see which one of these games we could hit. And do that, man, because I think we can have some fun together. It's always fun getting together with y'all. Again, shalom to y'all. Thank you so much again. I greatly appreciate the love and the fun that we have. We have a lot of fun. Really, like Like people like Gumby really make this cool, man. I like going. He don't pull no punches. Homie was in there throwing blows today. Him and Ruggs was going at it, man. All good, all good, all good. All right, y'all. Shalom.